Before we get started, if you enjoy the show and would like to support us, we have just two things we would like you to check out. Please head to our YouTube channel and subscribe to the show. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we need all the help we can get.
And if you would like to take your support to the next level and get early access to the show, you can come and join us on Patreon. You'll even get a shout out at the end of the episodes. Links to both will be in the show notes.
Right then, Cam, let's get on with the show.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm okay. Cheers, Cam. How you doing?
Yeah, all's good, thanks. I just want to very quickly say a huge congratulations to our level 3 photography students from the Bedfordshire School of Photography who have had their public exhibition on display for the last week in a town centre gallery here in Bedford, and really brave thing to do. So congratulations, guys. A huge success on the private view evening. So I just wanted to kick off with that.
Yeah, well done, guys. It sounds like it was a roaring success. So many congrats, yeah, guys.
Thank you. Proud moment for everyone. Now, on today's show, the second half of the show, because it's Halloween, okay,
yes.
We're going to be talking about the most not most common, but top fears that as modern photographers will face, whether you're a hobbyist or whether you're a professional. So that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about. We thought it was good. It's topical going in with a Halloween theme. Yeah. But what we're going to be doing, as usual, we're going to be starting off with the news headlines that have caught our eye this week from the photography world.
Yeah, so you're going to kick off, aren't you, Cam, with the first one?
Yeah, exactly. Now, for Canon users, you're going to be very excited here. The flagship model, which is their R1, is going to start shipping on November the 14th. Okay, so have a look out for that. Pricing wise, I think it's going to be around the body only is going to be around the £6,000 price mark, but that's just a rough guide for you.
Is this the pre-orders or is it just stock?
I'm not sure. It just says that it starts shipping on November the 14th. That's the only information.
There might be pre-orders, So if you pre-ordered one, maybe one's coming to you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. Nice price, around £6,000. Now, in addition to that, as Canon pushing things forward, they have recently displayed a new prototype camera, which is an astounding 250 megapixel camera, okay, which is pretty amazing. Now, this was on display. Remember, it's a prototype. It's on display at the 2024 Chinese CPSC show, and that's where they displayed it. And it's quite interesting. It looks like it's got a green body to it. Well, it doesn't look like it's got a green body to it. It has got a green body.
Okay, right. Okay, it does have a green body. It looks kind of medium formatty, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think the green body is just the internal part of it. Okay, but it could be. I don't know. But anyway,
it's a prototype, isn't it? I can't imagine that's the colour they're going for.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah. So part of their marketing. So good stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's quite amazing. I know we've been talking about the color of the body, but 250 megapixels. I mean, how many pictures do you think you're going to fit on a 64 megabyte card with that?
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's who is it going to be aimed at? It's going to be for top end commercial photographers.
Yeah,
advertising.
Tethering, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
Although tethering that kind of file will be. It's a brilliant sort of headline for the camera.
Yes,
but I just worry about the infrastructure that you need to use such a beast of a camera. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think as I said, it's going to be it's just one of those things that I think they use as a marketing thing, just to show, hey, look, this is what we're working on. This is what is possible. Within the photography world, all that type of thing. So it's not necessarily something that we'll ever see, but the idea of this is it could spark different things, and they'll take elements of this prototype and maybe introduce it into the sort of standard cameras that we see, and pushing the boundaries is what these companies do. Now, however, I would say one thing, and I know we spoke about this recently, Mark, is that do you not think that there's too many cameras just coming out? You know,
well, we've had this conversation, haven't we? So yeah, to check the episode we did a few weeks ago about this, but yeah, I do, but I don't think you can include this in that. This is a showpiece, isn't it? This is, hey, we can make this sensor. That's basically what this is, and trickle down technology will state that in a few years' time, our sensors will get bigger and bigger. So
that's right.
This isn't going to market like this, I don't think.
No. I mean, just for you geeky people, a little bit more information. Now, remember, this isn't necessarily going to happen, but it says they caption detail 125 times greater than full HD resolution. So imagine that, 125 times greater, and the 250 megapixel resolution uncovers more detail than ever before. And that's pretty much what it says. It goes into quite a lot of technical detail that isn't really worth going into here. That really doesn't really make sense. But it says the sensor minimizes noise without sacrificing speed by sharing floating diffusion. And it goes into a lot of technical detail that, I have to be honest, makes absolutely no sense to me at all.
Yeah. I mean, I just imagine the landscape you can take with it. I mean, it would be a phenomenal.
Well, actually, we were just sort of saying that who's going to use that, and you've just hit the nail on the head there as far as where it's being used for, because it says here this new sensor expands the possibilities in many applications where it's used for 3D metrology, aerial mapping, aeronautic imaging, digital archiving, document scanning, machine vision, medical imaging, scientific research, wide area surveillance. So it's going to be used for a number. I mean, it's going to be very specialist use.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, coming to a store near you, maybe.
Yes, maybe that's right. Maybe not. Yeah.
Alrighty. So next one I've got here then. Now, I'm actually going to be reading this from, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but the Mail Online. But I did, to be fair, I did actually see this on the panel show early on in the week. So when I saw it as a sort of like an article to read from, I thought, oh yeah, well, I wanted to talk about it. So the headline, which is quite sensationalist, I was called a paedophile after sharing my wedding photos, but my wife is only 2 years younger than me. So basically, I mean, this is awful, really. So a bride, a star, has shared how she was relentlessly trolled online and falsely labelled a paedophile after sharing photographs of her wedding day with her much younger-looking wife. So Laura Evans, 31, from Surrey. I don't know why that means that's important, but married Kay at their local registry office in September. The influencer was over the moon when she tied the knots with her wife after initially meeting on Tinder and dating for 2 years, with Hannah popping the question in January. Little did the couple know they would be subject to a barrage of online abuse after sharing professional snaps from the big day on social media. In a disturbing turn of events, Lauren was falsely accused of being a paedophile by hundreds of Instagram users for marrying someone so young, despite Hannah only being 29 years old. So there's basically 2 years. I mean, that's disgusting, isn't it? It's so bad.
As far as the thing is, they open themselves up to it.
No, okay. Cam, there is no excuse for this nonsense.
No, there isn't. But what I'm saying is yes, no, sorry. What I meant by that was that if you put anything on social media, it doesn't matter what it is, you are opening yourself up to comments. Now, whether those comments are positive or negative are are neither here nor there. That's what you are opening yourself up to. Now, if you put pictures of yourself and of your personal life, because this is their personal life, regardless of what it was, okay, someone is going to comment. And let's be fair, you said that she's a social media, she's an influencer, right? She's an influencer, so she wants people to make comments. Now, I'm not saying the comments are justified. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that she knows that she's going to get comments, but she has to be prepared, and everyone. I doubt she
thought she was going to get these comments, though. I think there's a thing here. I mean, look, we neither of us are fans of social media, really. I don't think I posted any pictures from my wedding on Facebook. And that's obviously a closed group. I obviously showed them, I think this was back in 2015. So there was a website, we put it on the website and shared it to all the people who went to the wedding, of course. But I certainly didn't put it on Instagram where, the whole world can see. But again, you're right, she's an influencer, and I think this is the sort of thing we need to all be very careful of, where there's that blurred line now between what's real and what's not. An influencer is someone who it's a business, isn't it? It's
of course it is, yeah.
Who makes a living out of doing stuff on social media, and there is that blurred line, isn't there, between who people really are and their Instagram persona, I guess. And when you're getting married, I reckon to the lead up, because she's an influencer, she'd have been talking about the wedding. Maybe she was talking about some of the suppliers that she got. Maybe she was talking about the cake that was being made. Maybe she talked about this, that, and the other with the lead up. So I guess the natural conclusion after the wedding day is that she's going to show some pictures of it. I don't know what kind of influencer she is, but there you go. So I'd imagine it all kind of links. But some of these comments, right? Okay, so let's just have a look at some of these comments. So Laura said, some people said it was cute that my 10-year-old son was walking me down the aisle. Others said it was disgusting that I was kissing a young boy. Other vile comments left by trolls include, I thought she married a child. Why does he look like a 13-year-old boy? And is he old enough to get married? I mean, I don't know, guys. You don't need to put that out there, do you? If they're getting married
I know.
in a legal place, so imagine it's like the Barns, it's like a church, whatever it was. So any venue, sorry, the Barns is the venue. It's obviously not going to be a 13-year-old boy, is it? Because they're legally getting married. So
that's right, yeah.
it's someone just being mean for the sake of being mean. There's no reason for it.
I know, but some of the comments that you read, I had a comment which I brought up a couple of times in recent shows, how, the school that I run for the photography, where somebody had just put a message on an advert that we put out for courses saying, who are you? What qualifications do you have? Do you have a syllabus? Yeah. Okay. A very, very sort of like, completely unnecessary, the way it was written. Okay. And it annoyed me. And it made me realize that even an advert, a very innocent advert is open to somebody, keyboard warriors. But really it goes to show that when as photographers, when we're all taking so many more photos, you do have to be careful about what you do with these photos and the power that the images have now. Now, in a very sort of, I don't know whether I would say this, Mark. Okay, now she's an influencer. This story has come from the Mail Online, and it's probably been reported in different. It's probably gone all over the place.
Well, I saw it on TV. That's when I first saw
it on TV. Okay,
article.
Right. Yeah. So, is there something in the back of her mind thinking this is great and getting so much interaction? Now, bear with me a moment here, okay? Right, is she actually thinking in a perverse sort of way? It's great. Look how many likes and comments I'm getting, and I'm now going to be featured in this paper. I'm going to go on this TV show. I'm going to do this.
I mean,
right? Because what will happen is people will forget about this story. Okay, they'll move on. Today's news is going to be gone after today in a way. Okay, but what it will do, it may well boost her career in a way. Well, it's the way the world works. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not talking just specifically about her, but it could be about anyone. In a way, she might be thinking in the long run, actually, you know what? It did me a bit of a favor as an influencer.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, that's not nice for the wife, is it? I think they'd rather these comments weren't happening. But I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of things. This is the reason why I hate social media. I would never put out my wedding photos because there will be some horrible person that would say something nasty about me or my wife if I was to put those photos out. There's always going to be someone there, and quite frankly, I don't want to let them in. I mean, we spoke about this the other day, not inviting them in. I don't want it. It was a great day for me. It was a great day for all the people who were there. I shared it with the people that there. No one else matters really. Do you know what I mean?
And the need to share.
The need to share. I mean. But she's an influencer. I get it, but this is the way it is. But I think this is not a warning, but this is basically saying, look, just be careful what you put out there, because
Right. Yeah.
you know this is going to happen.
Yeah. And the
As
need
disgusting
for
as it is.
the need for posting your personal life online, I think, is one reason why there's huge rise in people's mental health.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I agree with
in
that.
a completely
Yeah,
negative way. The more you put on, you know, the more you're exposing of yourself, you know, the more it's going to affect your mental health. That's what I think anyway. So
I think
anyway, moving on. Okay, quite a very sad story here about a war photographer, Paul Lowe, who covered the conflicts, including the siege of Sarajevo during the Bosnian War. He also covered the fall of the Berlin Wall and Nelson Mandela's release from prison. Was pronounced dead in California on 12th of October. He died from a stab wound to the neck on a popular hiking trail in the San Gabriel Mountains, being reported by the County of Los Angeles Medical Office. He was a professor at the University of Arts in London, and he was also a visiting professor in war studies at King's College London, and taught at an academy through the foundation, which trains upcoming photojournalists from communities underrepresented in the media. He was described by the foundation as a courageous and beloved comrade and a deeply devoted father and husband. So, you know, our condolences to Paul's family.
Absolutely.
Now, the twist in this story is that it appears that his 19-year-old son has appeared at the West Covina courthouse in Los Angeles, charged with one count of murder.
What?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was alleged he was seen driving away from the scene on Mount Baldy Road near Stoddard Canyon Falls, and was subsequently involved in a solo traffic collision a few miles away before his arrest, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said. Now, if convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison. The teen, it says, is next due to appear in court on 9th December, and a judge set his bail at £1.6 million.
Oh, my word.
George Gaskin, LA District Attorney, said he will pursue justice for the victim and ensure the offender is held accountable for his actions. So I think,
my words.
Yeah, I mean, just the story alone, you know, is sad. And there was also a tribute paid by the Associated Press news agency as well, who paid tribute to Mr. Lowe as well, particularly during his work at the siege that he produced in the siege of Sarajevo in the early 1990s. And they go on to say that he was talented, courageous, and committed photojournalist who repeatedly put himself in harm's way to show the world the reality of war zones and humanitarian crises around the world. His untimely death has profoundly affected the photojournalism community, and we are in shock. So, very, very sad to report on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's much more to say on that. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible thing to hear. But right, let's move on. Young people no longer practice photography, says Fujifilm. Now, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. We had a little chat about a possible camera that Fuji was bringing out, which had a vertical sensor. Do you remember? And so, you know,
I think it's great. Which I think is great.
I think is fine. So basically, I guess this might be showing the way that Fuji are seeing things. So this is an article from Digital Camera World, and it says Fujifilm says that youngsters don't take photos anymore. So its new camera for young people was designed for YouTubers. So, I mean, what do you think about it? So it goes... I'll just say a bit more. Fujifilm doesn't think young people take more, so its latest camera aimed for young people to done for YouTube rather than photography. Young people, they keep saying the same thing here. No, young people no longer practice photography, asserted Frank Bernard, director of Fuji's photo division in France, in a recent interview. It actually makes sense when you look at the new camera in question. The Fujifilm XM5, aside its marketing being built largely around content creation, there are telltale signs that vlogging is more important than photography. So what do you think about that, Cam?
I think there's a lot of marketing going on here. That's what I would say. That's one of the okay. That's one of the things that I would say about it. I mean, when you look at the actual camera, they're referring to the XM5. The headlines sort of say the pocket-friendly Fujifilm XM5 looks set to take the compact camera market by storm, and they go on to say that how small and how light it is, and how easy it is to use. It's got no electronic viewfinder on that, and so it's compact, interchangeable lenses as well. And also it's a retro style. So this is what we said recently was people are going to buy this, buy a camera like this. Really, I think.
Well, what do you think about
80% of it is 80% of it's for the looks. Now I know what you're going to ask me. What do I think about? Is it the young people not practicing photography anymore?
Yeah, Fuji's stance on it, because it's obviously if this is what Fujifilm think, and don't forget where Fujifilm came from as well. They were a film manufacturer and a paper manufacturer. If this is the ethos behind what Fujifilm are thinking, then they're going to be producing very different range of products soon, aren't they? This is.
I don't agree with it. I think it's real. This is really heavy marketing from my point of view. Yes, they are producing this camera. Yes, they are doing it for a reason. Okay, because there is a certain type of person that's going to want to use this camera. It's small, it's lightweight, high quality, interchangeable lenses, and it looks really cool, ultra cool, retro. Okay, so which is fine. Okay, but I think to take it one step further than that, say young people aren't practicing photography anymore. I don't think that's true. I think it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be really interesting to see the uptake of people studying photography who learn just through online YouTube videos, or downloading online courses. So I think I'm going to put it out there. I think Fujifilm are completely wrong to say young people aren't practicing photography anymore. They are still doing and taking photos, but they may be doing it in a different way. And yes, their needs will be different, but the needs of today's photographers are probably very different to the needs of photographers 40 years ago, in the way that, right? So it's just things moving along, but I think it's a little bit sort of headliney. And this is what this is about. Young people no longer practice photography, says Fujifilm.
Yeah, I mean, I've only heard things from Fuji about Fujifilm obviously saying stuff like this, and it's about their new cameras and how they're, they're more for YouTube or social media or all that. I don't really hear them suddenly cancelling their range of mirrorless cameras. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think this is, you're right. I think this is very much doing marketing. I think they're trying to say something that's a bit controversial, so people like us talk about it and mention their cameras and things. What is it? Just as a side question, though, Cam, what's the age demographic of your course?
Oh, it's a wide range. I have got probably from, let's say, 18 to people in their 70s.
Right. So, I mean, 18 is still pretty young as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, I guess we're all, I mean, I guess it's also the fact that we're probably all doing YouTube more. We're all doing social media more, I guess. Even if we were just consuming it rather than doing it. So I guess it's the way that everyone's going, but
I mean, it's just the company clearly has a very specific sense of what its young customers are looking for and where they are coming from. Just we realized that there was a real demand in this price segment. I'm not sure how much it was, especially among young people. The smartphone is a springboard to this type of case, both in terms of price and audience. Bernard told Phototrend during an interview at Salon de la Photo in Paris. It says that initially this case was designed more for YouTubers. We can see it clearly with the 3 small microphones, but the more we look at this product, the more we realize that it could appeal to photographers. It has a very small size. It benefits from film simulations. this case will also be a lever for growth on the photography side as well. So in a way, they sort of contradict themselves by saying it benefits from film simulations. Now, if you want to create, if you want to go for that down the film simulation route, then you've got to have an interest in photography and you've got to know what those are about. And then
you've got to know what a Velvia is and a Provia is and all that kind of stuff, isn't you?
And why are you going to buy it if those things don't mean anything to you? It says this case will also be a lever for growth on the photography side as well. So it's a little bit of the headline's a bit of a contradiction. It's all marketing, and they've got to be producing products for the current market, for not just the younger generation, but all of the people that are very much sort of established within the industry as well. But but we want to see these things from manufacturers. We want to see manufacturers trying to move things forward. So good stuff. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay, so Pink Floyd bassist says filming concerts on your phone is selfish and ruins experience for everyone. This is Guy Pratt, the Pink Floyd bassist. Now, we spoke about this going back a few episodes in a way, didn't we, Mark, about how people are going to concerts, whether it could be a gig, it could actually be anywhere, and an event, a wedding, it could well be whatever it is, sporting event. You see it at football games, TV, whatever. But people are watching the event that they're at through their phone. And he is now saying that people who do this are selfish. He said people don't take live music seriously enough, and that he gets concert hall staff to shut down people who are filming shows. I basically go out and sort of try to point out to everyone that this is a unique moment. He said, we're all here together. This will never happen again. And the way to experience that and the way to remember that is to be present in the room, not stuck behind the phone, ruining it for everyone behind you. I agree 1,000% on that. Okay. And it says it comes as a part of a growing trend where musicians and performers ask members of the audience not to film during shows. However, the thing about that is all that stuff goes on YouTube. It all gets shared online. They're getting more and more interaction. So it's good promotion from them as well. Okay.
But Pink Floyd don't need that. Look, I do sit at the opposite end of the fence, really. Yes, if you're constantly recording it for the whole 2 hours of the gig, that's ridiculous. Of course, don't do that. But like I said, if there's a band that I've been wanting to see for donkeys, okay, and one of my favorite songs come on, you're damn right I'm recording it. I'm sorry, I'm going to record at least a bit of it. I'm not going to record the whole song. I'm not even going to look at the phone. I'm just going to put it up whilst I'm watching the band live. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm sorry, there just isn't. Now, Pink Floyd, I love Pink Floyd, don't get me wrong. It's great music. But they are a bunch of grumpy so-and-sos, I'm afraid. This is very much Old Man Shouts at Cloud.
Well, you get to a certain age, Mark.
I know. Age, Old Man Shouts at iCloud. How about that? And the cynical thing in me as well is that a lot of these bands want to sell their live DVDs and want to sell their live this, that, and the other. And when people are doing it with their phones, it means that people don't want to buy those things anymore. So there is a cynical side of me as well that feels that that's an element of what this is about. Now, look, do I think that if you have your phone up for the entirety of the gig, that is selfish? Yes, I do. If I think you record like 30 seconds to a minute of your favorite song that you've been wanting to see live for about 10 years, no, go for it. Do you know what I mean? That there's nothing wrong with that. You spent about £200 for the ticket in the first place. So yes, I am going to do a little bit of video and I'm going to watch it back. I'm going to share it with friends. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's good, you see, because I'm totally opposite to you on this. If it's a song or whatever I wanted to hear for ages, I wanted to watch them live, I'd want to be totally immersed in it. Rather than thinking, right, I've got to get my phone out and get this and stick it up in the air.
You are in danger here, right? Of actually cementing the idea that blokes can't do two things at once. Right? I'm really, okay. I will put it on, depending on where I am, I will put the phone up there, right? And it's for like 40 seconds, if that, okay? For 40 seconds, anyone behind me can just deal with it for 40 seconds, right? And I am still watching with my eyes as well as having the phone up. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I get why people do it. I just don't think that people should do it. What I will do is I'll take a couple of very quick photos, maybe right the beginning, go click, click, and then my phone's away. That's it. I was
So you
there.
do
It's
do it.
photo. No, I don't do video. I do two quick photos. He actually
Yeah.
says on there, if people, he says, it's mad. He goes, we all take a couple of pictures of memento or something, a couple of snaps. That's fine. But he goes, but I've had on social media guys going, guys, amazing last night. I filmed the whole show.
Yeah, okay.
Why?
I
Okay.
have an issue with filming the whole show. I am
Yeah.
with you on that. Don't
Yeah.
film the whole show because you're too busy worrying about that. I get that. But to stop it completely.
Yeah. Now, here's something that also leads on from it, okay? Because earlier this week, there was a photographer by the name of Ahmed Raza who generally shared his negatives for the first time, where he published more than 100 previously unseen photos of Led Zeppelin performing at Nebworth in August 1979. Now, it says Raz's photographs give a unique perspective of the festival experience, as well as showing the band. They all show people watching from watching them from the side of the stage, family and friends and the manager, and somebody looking with some binoculars. And it says, and Raz's journey to the festival and 2 of the opening acts. Okay, so over 100 photos have been released. Now, you imagine if that had happened, if that gig had happened today, if there were any pictures of the crowd shot now, so many photos, so many people would be holding their phones. There'd be so much video footage of this gig.
Yeah,
now it's already out on videos, official and whatever. But the thing is what I'm saying is there's more of a magical mystery, sort of, I've got to see these photos type of thing. I remember that. But you can get oversaturated in this day and age because you can think, let's see more photos and another one and another one. So these 100 photos that have never been seen, I think have got more significance and more of a wow factor because they've been huge online.
Okay, but what you're saying though, Cam, what you're saying here, what you're saying, the fact of the matter is we all have a phone, we all have a camera in our pocket. That's what's made the saturation, right? If you had this back in the 60s, it'd be the same. It's not the scourge of modern society. It's just, we now have this thing that we can document. Another thing to think about as well, if there were pictures of the crowd in these days, yes, they'd already probably be holding their phones, but also all the faces would be blurred out as well because of,
Oh, yes.
Because you can't see, there's so many things. There's so many things that you can't. And also, may I also say, if in a gig at a Led Zeppelin, you're going to see a Led Zeppelin gig back in the day, you'll also have a lot of people smoking in the crowd as well, which you can't do now. So, it's just a sign of the times. Things do move on. Do I think it? I understand where you're saying, that sort of the reverency of those photos from those 100 photos from Zeppelin, you do lose that these days. Yes, you do, because of what's happened as far as camera manufacturing is concerned. I.e., we all have one on our phone, but there's nothing we can do about that. That's the way things are, I guess. But maybe because so many people are doing videos of it, photos will come back to that reference again. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
But basically what we're saying is take loads of videos at a gig. No, I'm joking.
Good stuff. Okay, Mark, let's grab a drink. And because it's Halloween, it's all going to get a little bit scary. Ooh. Right, Mark. Okay, so it's Halloween. So our topic for the rest of this show is about the fears that we face as photographers. As professionals and hobbyists, it's going to sort of be a little bit different. So we've sort of been going through some of the top things, but I think it's ever changing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to kick off with the first one, and that is technical failure. What have you got to say about technical failure?
Technical failure. Well, dropping a lens at a wedding. I mean, I haven't had that much of an issue, thank heavens. But I guess the thing, fear in this respect is good because it's the fear of that makes me have 2 card slots in the camera. It's the fear of that makes me have a backup 2 cameras on a day. I do use 2 cameras, but if one of them fails, I can do it with 1 camera. we were talking about why I have two flash guns in a bag. Well, yes, I have a flash gun in each camera, but as one of our listeners, and Mr. Percy did point out, you also have a backup flash. Yes. So if one goes down, I can still do stuff with flash. So yes, it is a big fear. I think it's subconscious for most people, and that's why we do the backing up that we do.
Now, you said something there about backup cards. Now, when I first moved to digital, when I first started looking, I bought, and I can't remember what it was, who made the camera. I think it may have been Pentax, but they had a medium format camera that had a digital back and a film back. Now, this was my first entry into doing it like for actually real on a shoot, and it was on a wedding. So I was already using medium format camera. I was using the Bronica SQB at the time. And I got this camera with a digital back. Now, the ISO only went up to 400 on that. And that camera cost me about £6,000 or £7,000 at that time.
Was it phase one? Was it a phase one?
No, it wasn't phase one. It had its own back.
Okay.
Yeah. And I dropped it. And I dropped that camera at a wedding. And actual fact, it wasn't badly damaged. In fact, there was no damage to it at all because it did fall on grass. Okay, but I panicked, and what I did was I immediately went and put it in the car, and I got the Bronica SQB out and carried on shooting. I remember it just fell off the tripod. My fault. Just obviously hadn't been put on properly in the rush. Now, in that case, as a photographer, as you've just said, it's, you've got a flash and a backup flash. You've got to have spare equipment, not just if you're going out to do a wedding, but it doesn't matter if you go out as a photographer to do any sort of shoot for a client, you must have a backup camera with you. Even if it's in your car, in the car park, you have to run out and go and get it. You cannot go to a shoot without it. Technical failure. Okay. If your camera suddenly stops and whatever, obviously turn it off, turn it back on. Does it fix? No. Take the batteries out, put them back in. Yeah, that solves a lot of issues.
That's amazing how that solves it. Like, taking the battery out and putting it back in is kind of crazy. I mean, going back to that, but I mean, that accident you had is actually a reasonable fear of mine. Is putting the camera onto a tripod, especially when I've got my 7200 lens on it. You're thinking this, like, I was about £8,000 worth of kit is just being held on this tripod by this one little plate. And I do worry sometimes. Have I clipped it in right? Is it not? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do worry about that.
Yeah, and do you know, to this day, I do it without even thinking about it. When I put a camera on a tripod, I make sure it's on, and I find myself checking it over and over again. And it's only just occurred to me now, talking about this, that's the reason why I do that. That's why I constantly check it. I do it because of that fear, and I wasn't even aware of that until sort of talking about it now. And I would just say that camera that I did buy, as I said, I'm sure it's a Pentax medium format. It's the first one that had ever been made. I said it cost me thousands, and it was useless. And I managed to sell it to somebody on eBay, and pretty much, I think it's £500. I sold it for £500 less than what I bought it for. So I was quite happy.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But the thing is also that when I did move to digital, when I actually really used a digital camera at a wedding for the very first time, was the D3, Nikon D3, because it had dual card slots, which you mentioned. Okay. I would never even, it doesn't matter what the job is, I would never, ever go and shoot a job without dual card slots, without my camera, without my images being backed up. I can't believe that there are still professional photographers out there that go and shoot images without having their images backed up onto a second card. It's beyond belief when I see that. So, and the fear of technical failure, a lot of it really comes down to your preparation. Like, have you got a camera with dual card slots? One of the things that people say is that, oh yeah, but my camera's never failed with one card. I've never had a problem with one card. I've never had a corrupt card. I've never had an issue. I've used it for years. What if you lose that card?
Yeah.
Right. What if you lose that card? What if you put it somewhere and you can't find it? Hey, it's easily done.
And also, you've been going through time without having this happen to you. The law of averages will state that at some point it will happen. So
Exactly, but nothing answers the question. What if you lose it? What if somebody says,
yeah.
"Yeah, but be more careful with it"? What if what if you are the most careful person? I am with memory cards when I put stuff away, but I still get back from a shoot thinking, "Where did I put that card?"
Yeah.
However, saying that, the backup card, one of the two cards, is still always in the camera. I never take it out of the camera. Never take both cards out of the camera. One is always left in the camera. The other one might go in a little pocket case. I'll put it in a bag, in a pocket in the camera. So that's the first one is technical failure.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. Okay, moving on.
Dun, dun, dun.
Unhappy or dissatisfied clients.
Yeah, I mean, surely this is a fear that every photographer has. That's what propels us to do the best service possible, surely.
It does. I'm going to say something a little bit, maybe, what should we say, controversial here.
Controversial, okay.
You may not make it. Okay. I'm talking about clients who will complain about a shoot and pictures. They're not happy with it.
Well, I suppose we could shoehorn the Bridezilla. I mean,
well, yeah. Okay. Now, this actually comes part of it. Now, it could be a commercial client, could be a wedding client. Okay. But the lower budgets, the people that pay at the lower end of the scale are the ones that are more likely to complain. In fact, 90% of the time, they're the ones that are going to complain.
Yeah.
The people that aren't paying as much. Whereas if people are paying more for it, they're not going to complain. It's less likely, much less likely that they're going to complain.
I agree with that. There was a thing when I was working for a well-known high street photographer that I'm sure everyone knows about. They had this thing where it's a family voucher. You come in, you get your shoot, you come back to see them, but you also get this gift piece, which is a 7x5, stands up on the frame, stands up in a wooden frame. And there was always a thing that the people who complained were always the people who just took the freebie. And we'd always go, it's always the freebies. They're the ones who demand it gets sent back and demand to speak to the manager. And so you got this for free, mate. I mean, come on. I mean, yes, we'll do it, but it's always the freebies, always.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be surprised. People already raise their eyebrows at that when when we sort of say this, but it's very true. You've seen it happen. I've seen it happen over the years. And then you think, why bother? You didn't pay next to nothing. You paid next to nothing for this.
Yeah.
What did you sort of expect? There's nothing actually wrong. It's just because you just want something more.
Yeah.
So unhappy clients. However, we've spoken about how do you deal with awkward clients or unhappy clients in the past on previous episodes about the process of what you go through. So there is a way of replying back and a process that you would go through with dealing with unhappy clients. And it's like it's like any service. People should always be given the opportunity to solve the issue before anything goes any further. Okay, right. The third one is income. Is getting that fear of enough income on a weekly, on a monthly, on a yearly basis. And anyone that becomes a professional photographer or any self-employment is always going to have that fear.
Yeah,
I've loved what I've done over the years. Okay. And I wouldn't change it. But I'll tell you one thing though, Mark, is that there's always that underlying fear. There's always been that underlying aspect of just earning enough, and I've done fine. I've done okay. I'm quite happy. I'll put it out there. However, it's still a fear, and it's been a lot of hard work to get there.
Yeah,
you can't help but be. But
again, that's what propels you. That stops you from being lazy, I guess, doesn't it? I mean, I'm earning more now than I was when I was employed. And but the fear is, I'm a bit quieter that month. Maybe I need to do something to not be so quiet, or all that kind of stuff, which does propel you to sort of keep going, I guess. There's no bigger fear than the fear of being skint, I guess. Well, apart from life, I guess, but it's something that I always worry about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go into the reasons. We're not going to go into how you can overcome all of that. We've spoken about that before. I'm sure we'll speak about again in the future when it comes to marketing yourself, all of those things. But it's always just having that fear. Now, okay, the next one. Now, it's a little bit more than that. I've put sort of fear of tech but it's
Oh yeah.
fear of not tech
Well,
in general.
tech moving forward, I guess, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
fear of AI.
that's it.
There is a fear of AI at the moment. All sorts of fear of AI,
Fear of
from
yeah,
it's going to take my livelihood to it's going to take over the world. There is a big fear of it, but this isn't new. This fear isn't new. I'm sure. I mean, I wasn't a professional photographer when film turned to digital. I'm sure there was a fear there.
definitely.
I wasn't. I'm sure there was a fear, and some of this fear is actually, it's fair dues. The skills of the dark room have gone, and I'd imagine, the people who were very good at there and honed their darkroom skills for the 20 years prior, suddenly Adobe Photoshop swipes it all away. And that is a fear, and it's a justified fear.
Yeah, and I was very much in that. I was very
Yeah.
much in that. I saw all of that because my first 2-3 years in photography, in the world of professional photography, was spent in the darkroom before I actually became a photographer. And then seeing that change from film to digital, it was, oh no, it's going to ruin it all. People are going to be getting their own cameras and they're going to be doing their own photos and they're not going to need professional photography anymore. And then it's gone from DSLR to mirrorless. It's going to make it easier for so many photographers going to mirrorless. And now it's AI and, what's this going to do for photographers? And then after AI, it's going to be something else.
Yeah. Yeah, robots taking the photos for us or something like that. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, this fear is always there. I guess, again, it forces us to adapt. If you stay still, you're going to get left behind. You need to keep on with the times. I was very reluctant to go to mirrorless at the beginning and then realized, actually, no, it's the right move. Photoshop, I was, of course I was worried about. I mean, I remember when I was at uni, I hated digital photography. I absolutely hated it. I did my whole lot on film. I was very into much medium formats and 5.4, and at the time digital cameras were rubbish in comparison to what they are now. And I saw that then, big black lines over roofs because it couldn't compete with the latitude between a roof and a sky, just things like that, which obviously you don't hear about anymore. But nevertheless, here I am. I have an R6. I never use film anymore.
But for me, when I started using Photoshop on that, Mark, I was relieved to get out the darkroom because I'd spent so much time in the darkroom, years in the darkroom, and it was great because your hands didn't smell of chemicals anymore.
Well, there is that.
And you're constantly washing and drying your hands, and I'm talking, day after day for years, and it was like, this is just so good. It's so easy and it's so much quicker and it's cleaner. So yes, I saw that. Interesting to.
I mean, I shot my first. I mean, I must say though, it was liberating because I was just starting out when digital really kind of took over. I remember I shot my first wedding on film, but ended up scanning them all in.
Yes,
that's my first wedding edit was from negatives. But it was scanned into Photoshop. It's just silly.
I know. But also just generally fear of tech. Okay, we're talking about that, but I just want to just touch on this very, very brief, and then we'll move on to the last 2 points. Is that a lot of people are fearful of tech and they pick a camera up and they're scared of pressing buttons. They're scared of what if they've done this or they have adjusted something. Usually it's the exposure compensation. They've got it on -3 and then wondering why their images are all coming out completely underexposed all the time, and there's no reason for it. And so they're fearful of pressing buttons and doing things, but people are also fearful sometimes of going on to a computer and turning it on and trying to figure out how to save and download their photos. As a photographer, there are a lot of different skills that you now have to learn, and computers and tech is a part of that. Okay, so the next one, it actually carries on a little bit from the last one, is that getting old, maybe feeling the fear of becoming obsolete because you've been in the industry for too long.
Well, yeah, I see. I brought this one up, didn't I? I mean, it's kind of weird because I'm the younger of the two of us. But I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who does some framing, and he was like, "Yeah, because I'm bent over doing this framing, when I stand up, I get this pain in the bottom of my back." And I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of the same. So if I have a baby on a beanbag and I'm taking a picture of the baby from above, I'm also bending over. And when I feel it in my back now, when I straighten up, I'm like, oh my words, this is, can I be doing this for much longer? Do you know what I mean? I think doing a wedding, I'm doing them for ages now. And, at the end of the day, I'm getting that a little bit more tired. And I'm just thinking, oh dear, is this something that I should be worrying about? Should I really start owning a business and employing photographers to do my work instead of me doing it? These are all the things that are going through my mind. And I'm like, oh my God, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to be a businessman. I want to be a photographer. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. And it's, whatever shoot that you go and do, you've got to be prepared to get up high on a ladder on a stage in front of people as you did. And I was holding the ladder recently. Okay. On a room packed full of people, if you remember. Okay. But, it's getting up on that ladder. But, as you get older, it's balance as well. A lot of people, as they get older, and I'm being serious here for a moment, you're more prone to falls. Your core isn't as strong. So, are you prepared to get up on that ladder and get up high and be safe? How is your posture as you get older? You have to, 1 minute you're on tiptoes with your hands held up high in the air with the camera above your head to get that shot. The next minute you're crouching down on the floor on one knee, or you've got to lay down, and then you've got to get up very quickly. Don't, where people think, oh, I'll be all right taking photos all at eye level. As a professional photographer, you're bending over, you're twisting to your left, you're twisting to your right. You don't necessarily keep your back straight if you just have to come down a little bit. You are constantly doing movements in your body that you're not used to, and you're doing them quickly without thinking about them. And when you do things like that and you're not thinking about it, that's when you cause yourself an injury. And it's worse as you do get older. So I guess it's the things that you do in between the shoots that will do that. But then that fear of getting old and becoming obsolete then becomes are you getting left behind by a younger generation because their ideas are completely different and they're more in tune with.
I wouldn't worry about that, Cam. I wouldn't worry about that. According to Fujifilm, young people aren't taking photos anymore. So
exactly, that's right. Yeah. So you do start to sort of think, and you see this thing on social media, and these younger people. There are, I don't want to use the word younger people. There are a lot of people, that might be younger than you, that are pushing the boundaries and doing something very different. And you think, what, I just couldn't do that. One, because I don't know, just don't want to do it.
Can't be asked.
Can't be asked, right? All of those sort of things, right? So the not the fear of getting old, but there are things that happen physically and mentally as you do get older. So, okay. And the very last one, is the fear of competition. Now, let's throw that. Everyone's has a fear of their competition. If you're a working photographer,
do you think
there is a fear of competition?
I've never really feared competition. I see it as a challenge, and I'm always interested in seeing what are they doing, but I don't see it as a fear, really. I see it as more of this is the sort of thing that keeps me up to date, or it keeps me, I don't know, wanting to not be set in my ways and stuff, I guess.
So you've got a real positive outlook on that, which is great, which is the way that we should be looking at it, because competition, yes, pushes you harder. Competition does make you better. Competition will push you forward. But also, I think it's a good idea, and we mentioned this on the last one. Why, if it's local photographers, why not get in touch with your competition? Why not make it a positive and maybe drop them a message, maybe meet up for a coffee, find out.
But even if you don't do that, because we've mentioned that a few times, haven't we? But even if you don't do that, use it as inspiration. Use it as, that guy's doing that, right? Okay, well, I need to do that, or I need to do something better. It's absolutely fine. You can moan about competition, you can moan about this, that, and the other, but actually, if you use it as an inspiration to move yourself forward, actually, I don't see this as a fear, really. But I can see why people do, though. I can see why people.
There is also this other thing that, with AI coming out, but new cameras and new products. We've been talking recently is that there's just always new cameras constantly coming out. And are those cameras justified when the improvements are sort of minute? But as photographers, not even just as you get older, but any photographer, you see all these new cameras coming out, and there is that fear that your equipment is becoming outdated. And that suddenly you find that you don't have the latest gear, and that if you do want to upgrade these continuous upgrades, there's a financial stress.
Is that something that you fear, Cam?
No.
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 I think that's something you worry about more than I do, I'd say.
No. Yeah. Oh, no, it's on my mind, but I don't fear it. I
don't think about it at all. If I've got, I think if I didn't have to retire the 5D Mark II, I'd have kept using it. Do you know what I mean? The only thing I think that camera I needed really was the dual card slot, but everything else, I was not hankering to go mirrorless. I didn't have to go mirrorless. It was just at the time, I'm going to buy a new camera, I might as well buy mirrorless. I didn't buy a new camera because I wanted mirrorless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Personally, the person behind the camera is the most important thing. The person.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course, you've got to keep up to date in some respects. You can't be using a 20-year-old camera that has a 2 million megapixel count or anything like that. Of course not. It's got to be in context. But I again, it's not something I find fearful. If you're getting what you want to get out of your kit, it doesn't matter.
No, I agree with you. My take on it was, from what you were sort of saying, that yes, it is on my mind more so than yours. But my thing was initially goes back to when I had to go from film to digital. That was a big decision to make. Okay, and it had to be done, and it took years to actually do it, and then say, right, okay, now I am totally digital, and yes, film is of no relevance to me anymore. That was a big decision because I was right in the middle of that change. For the people that were out there working in the industry, and then
is that the reason why that's on your mind?
Yes,
Before then, were you worried about? I haven't got the F4S.
No,
I've only got the F4.
No, not at all, because I was using medium format and large format, so you didn't change cameras.
No,
what you would do is try the different films that were being released, whether it was Reala or whatever it was, or something Kodak had come with. So you'd be trying different films. The equipment, my SQ Bronica SQs were battered to death. They really were, but they were still used. I was still using them. Never thought about changing. When it came to digital, that was different. And then I went from DSLR to mirrorless because I felt that was the way the industry was changing. And there was that little bit of a fear. But my main thing was really about it, Mark, was that it was to do with the financial aspect, in the sense that if I buy a camera and then I part exchange it for something newer, there was money left in that. And in that, I could part exchange it for a good price, buy something that's an upgrade, but it's an affordable upgrade that will keep me sort of up to date with modern technology, but also, my equipment isn't so old that there's no money left in it. So I don't know if that makes sense, but so mine it does. Mine's more a business related decision on why I change cameras. But also on top of that, I also find that if I don't use something now for ages, for possibly a year, I don't need it again. So my last point is on that is we bought for filming a Samyang 2.8 24-70 autofocus lens, but we wanted to use it for video, and it was a zoom lens because all the lenses that we've got that we use for video are cinema prime lenses. Now we wanted to get this one because it was a zoom lens, and in certain situations it would be really useful just to be able to quickly zoom in on something. Anyway, so we got it, and it wasn't the top end lens, but it was just there as an emergency type thing. And what we found is that we found some distortion on the sides of the videos that we were shooting with it, and it wasn't ideal. So we stopped using it, stopped using it, left it, and I found I hadn't used it for a year, and just because of that distortion, we weren't going to use it. It's only going back about 2-3 months ago. So basically I part exchanged it, part exchanged one of the old cameras and bought the Sony A7 IV because the lens just wasn't ever going to be used. So it was sitting there. It was worthless to me. And I part exchanged it. I think I paid £800 for it, and I got £600 for it when I part exchanged it. So it was worth doing.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I it's like my cars though. I keep them till I just get to the bitter end, and
and you've got value for money out of that. You know, but going back to that is it was the competition we were talking about, wasn't it? You know, and that fear of competition. But yeah, we do look at others. We do look at other people. We do look at other competition and their local competition and what work they're doing and how have they done this? Why have they done that? Oh my God, that's really good. Am I going to be able to keep up with that? Oh, that's what I need to be doing. But you've got to be confident for yourself, you know, because that same photographer that you're looking at is probably thinking exactly the same thing. And, you know, and use it, as I said, use it as a positive. And I said in the last episode as well, contact these photographers, meet up, surprise them, go and have a coffee with them, and you'll find that they're just the same and they have the same problems as you. Yeah. So they are our top photographer fears, going from technical failure, dissatisfied clients, income, the fear of tech, getting older, becoming obsolete, and then the fear of your competition as well.
I hope you sleep well tonight.
Okay, let's give the patrons a shout out.
Okay, so Amara Zainab, Emily Brown, we got Craig Chuck, Rob Percy, Carl Sherville, Frank Case, Nick Payne.
Nick Payne, that's it.
Yes, there you go.
Good stuff. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you after Halloween.